Indeed, it's a sad day for Nigeria. Friday, the 21st of May 2021, indeed, was a sad day, and Nigeria is mourning the death of the Chief of Army Staff and 10 other officers that died in that ill-fated air mishap in Kaduna. It's sad. Um, I'm lost of words to actually use to describe how I feel. Let us sit back and just watch and see the names of these officers who are destined to serve the country. Fortunately, their lives were cut short. May their soul rest in peace. Like we always do, we always try to remind you that you must always put on your face mask at all time to keep safe. Seriously, I'm really so emotional about what happened because these are officers that one knows very well on close range and interacted with. Security Watch Africa, though, we put up a little tribute for the man, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru. Sit back.
Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, who hails from Doka in Kaduna North Local Government Area of Kaduna State, was born on the 10th of August 1966. He was admitted into the Nigerian Defense Academy as a member of the 35th Regular Corps in January 1984 and was commissioned to the rank of Second Lieutenant in December 1986 as an infantry officer, from where he grew through the ranks and commanded several troops. He was appointed the 21st Chief of Army Staff on the 26th of January 2021 by President Muhammadu Buhari. Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru holds a master's degree in Strategic Management and Policy Studies from the Nigerian Defense Academy, Masters of Science in Human Resource Management and Development from Stanford University in United Kingdom, and a Graduate Diploma in International Studies from University of Nairobi, Kenya. He served Nigeria with pride both locally and internationally. Since his appointment as the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Attahiru contributed his quota to the fight against insurgency, terrorism, banditry, and other forms of criminality in various parts of the country until he was involved in a plane crash during an official assignment at Kaduna State, along with other officers and crew members on the 21st of May 2021. May his soul and that of other officers rest in peace. Amen.
Sad commentary, but I have in the studio with me already my brother, my friend, compatriot, patriot for in this cause of making Nigeria a safer place, talking about Suleiman Ubagaya. Suleiman Ubagaya was the former National Deputy President of Nigerian Guild of Editors, and he's the Chief Executive Officer of Sky Limit Media Group and a member of the World Editors Forum. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio.
Thank you so much for having me.
Like I said at the opening, I'm just so emotional. I really can't say. I know you feel the same because you are very, very familiar with the Nigerian military and Nigerian forces. What do you feel? How is your feeling? Can you describe this?
Honestly speaking, it's very difficult to describe my true feelings, on a platform like this. But suffice it to say, it is a national tragedy. The fact that the incumbent Chief of Army Staff died in such a tragic manner, plane crash, honestly speaking, is a national tragedy. And mine is to condole with Mr. President, with the Nigerian army, the Nigerian military in its entirety, and the rest of Nigerians. May the soul of those who we lost yesterday rest in perfect peace.
Yeah, because during our interaction, you actually were just short of words to describe it, because one, we were actually hoping that maybe there's a lot they can add to improve the security of the country, but this now happened. In his short time, we can see a man who was vibrant, ready to see what he can do.
Yes, really, I'm sure General Attahiru, or late General Attahiru, will have loved to achieve a significant percentage of what his predecessor had achieved. That is General T.Y. Buratai. Unfortunately, he didn't have time. He was only there for about 4 months. His predecessor was there for 5 years. So you can see the difference in terms of length of tenure. Of course, he might have stayed for a longer period, probably 2 years or more, as the Chief of Army Staff. Unfortunately, we don't determine when we die. We don't determine how we die. Definitely, if the Attahiru have had the privilege to choose the time he should die, he wouldn't choose yesterday.
Now, yeah.
Because he died at a time when the security of the country is at the lowest ebb.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone is feeling unsafe, whether you are in the security or intelligence services. Everybody is afraid, you know, so I'm sure he would have loved to die after he has improved the situation, made his mark. Sadly, he didn't have the time, and he was only there for barely 4 months, or a little below 4 months. And
now, you know, the Defense Headquarters have actually instituted investigation to look at the causes of this mishap that happened. Why do you think it's necessary at this point in time? What should we be doing? First of all, in the memory of those who lost their lives, not only the Chief of Army Staff, there are some other younger officers, a sergeant, major, brigadier general, you know, so many flight lieutenants and all that. What should the country do in their memory at this time?
Well, I clearly, to respect their memory, we shouldn't be building conspiracy theories. I read so many comments, people suggesting one thing or the other. You understand? I don't think it serves the dead well. These people are late. They have served the nation meritoriously. And of course, without prejudice to the investigation that has been launched already, I believe the best thing to do for their memory is to, you know, as much as possible, look at the positives rather than dwelling too much on the negatives.
Yes. I think looking at the Nigerian Air Force family, particularly I feel disturbed for them, because they've lost younger officers, younger pilots in just 3 months.
But that is not, with all due respect to those who lost their lives, it's not quite very strange. This thing has happened in even the most developed countries of the world, like the United States of America. There were situations where in just a few months they lost several officers, you know, through air mishaps. So it's not quite strange, it's not quite new. Of course, it is not the wish of the Nigerian Air Force to have its officers being killed in this way and be losing their very few equipment, because these are fighting equipment that we desperately need. You know, I mean the aircrafts. Yeah. So we are losing the aircrafts, we are losing even more preciously the officers, the lives, you know. So I think conspiracy theories really would not help in this case.
Okay. If you are joining us, this is your program, Security Watch Africa, on this channel, the Africa Independent Television. Only on this station will give you that information you need to keep your life safe and secured. It's sad what happened, but the country must move ahead. Right now, as we speak, the departed are being prepared for their burial at the National Military Cemetery in Abuja. Church service is being held, and the mosques, the Muslim rites are also being performed at the national mosques, so that they will be buried. Before I go to the next part 2 of this program, really, let me find out, because does it worry you when things like this happen? There are a lot of information that flies on social media about the persons who died, you know, because what was so conspicuous was that people were saying that his wife the chief of army staff wife died along with him, and of course she was nowhere near there. And even the mainstream media carried it and we are using it. You are an editor of excellence. Why is some media doing this to us?
I think it tells you how deep the rot has become. You know, in a situation where the traditional media is being led by the social media. And in Nigeria, with all due respect to social media players, most of them are doing it irresponsibly. Permit me to use that. So you have situations where people simply concoct stories just to satisfy their fantasy. Otherwise, I don't see why the story about the late chief of army staff's wife should even be carried in the first place. It means somebody out there, maybe a wicked soul, just decided to concoct it and bandy it about. And unfortunately, the traditional media that should do the necessary checks and balances didn't care to do that. The ethics of the profession.
They want to break news.
But you see, this attitude of breaking news, there was this story I told you about President Trump, or former President Trump of the United States in 2018 visiting American troops in Iraq. All the media houses in America were informed by the intelligence services. But because they were responsible, none of them broke it until Trump was well on his way back and in the within the territorial airspace of America. You know, if it were in Nigeria, I'm telling you with all due respect, it will have been, a news outlet will have broken the news and endangered the life of the president. And that was a president who was number one enemy to American press, you know.
So this
attitude of breaking news, we really need to play it responsibly, honestly.
All right, we'll get back to you soon. But let's go, because last week we did a report about the danger that we saw on the streets of Abuja, where cows roam the streets, causing dangers to the road users. Security Watch Africa decided to find out if from the agency concerned, what is being done. Are these people allowed to just go about the streets? Sit back as we bring you this report put together by Peggy Agbe.
As a follow-up on our earlier report last week on herders, cattle, and other livestock roaming around Abuja metropolis, Security Watch Africa's crew met with the agency concerned. The Director General of Abuja Environmental Protection Board, Dr. Hassan Abubakar, confirmed that there is a law against herdsmen and their cattle roaming the streets.
The Abuja Environmental Act of 1997 is the one that gave us the mandate to arrest them. This question, I will have taken you to area 3 now, and you will see the number of cows that we have arrested. We have more than 50 cows that we have arrested. They are there. We are taking them to court, but you know the problem we have is court is not sitting now. They are on strike. But the minister has given us outright instruction order to go out after them. So which political, I have the political will from the honorable minister to go after them and identify the owners who are causing all this nuisance. And these are the people, these people that are causing this nuisance are part of people criticizing us.
He also stated that some cattle have been arrested and would not be released until the actual owners show up to face the law.
Those cows belong to people, to very important people in this city. They hide somewhere and release their cows to Fulanis to bring into the city. We are going to expose them. You see, what we do now is we are following them to their villages to find out who owns those cows. And they must tell us. You see, those cows are there. They either expose the owners to us, or we apply to court to confiscate, and then we take them to orphanage homes and the prison services, to correctional services. So we are not going to release those cows to them until they expose the owners. And we are going to give you the list of the owners who are causing those problems to us in this city. We continue to arrest. We continue to follow them to their villages. We are going to follow them to their ruga, one after the other.
Inasmuch as government is doing its best to keep cities clean, individuals who own businesses should comply with laws binding the city to save lives and properties. Peggy Agbe, Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
Welcome back. You heard it. There's a law against that. So those people that are flagrantly abusing the law must be held responsible. And he said those prominent persons that owns this cow should act responsibly and help and make the city what it should be. Yes, before we continue on our discussion, let's take this report because the report is important from the Nigerian Immigration Service about our international passport. There's a new regime starting in about a week's time, and this information is quite important. Sit back as we bring you this report put together by Shekina Chinkere.
In line with its resolve to provide Nigeria with seamless new passport regime, the Nigeria Immigration Service is suspending all fresh passport applications. The suspension was announced by the Comptroller General of the NRS, CGI Mohammed Babandede, during a media chat at the Immigration Headquarters in Abuja. The CGI also announced other far-reaching measures to check passport racketeering and corruption.
All passport control offices in the country are hereby sealed, closed to the public between today and 31st of this month to enable them clear the backlogs. So there will be no operations in the passport office from today to 31st. And that period, the public are not allowed to be there. All backlogs will be cleared. Deputy Comptroller Generals have been assigned to take direct charge of some selected passport offices so that there will be no corruption, there will be no favoritism, there will be no any other backdoor dealing to make sure that all the backlogs have been cleared.
CGI Babandede gave insight into the commencement of new passport regime and scarcity of passport leaflet.
Applicants can now reissue their passport from June 2021 within 6 months validity, which means as soon as your passport has reached the age of 6 months before it expires, you have the right to reissue your passport anywhere. We have improved it from 3 months to 6 months. This gives Nigerians opportunity to have time. We have given you 6 weeks, we'll handle your case, but now you have 6 months to approach any passport office and ask for reissue. It will be reissued. This will solve all the problems. If you decide to wait until the day is your problem, we have given you opportunity 6 months before your passport expires to approach a passport office and apply. And don't take cash there. When you apply, you wait for 6 weeks, you will get your passport fresh. If you don't get it, hold us responsible. It's a commitment. And we'll punish the officer responsible for not contacting you and not giving you a booklet. That's our commitment with Nigerians from 1st June 2016. If you take the old passport has laminate. You know, it will be laminated. When we supply passport, we supply laminate to the port places. So you can remove the laminate and do some changes. But this new passport is polycarbonate. It's sealed. You cannot work on it. You can see one difference because we saw the challenge Nigerians use. This passport has, new enhanced passport has additional 25 security features, which I will not tell you some of them. But the physical one I can tell you is polycarbonate. I can tell you that it is connected with national identity number. When we started this national identity number, people complained that it will not work. But today we have one identity. If you have a new enhanced passport, it is not possible that you have a separate bank account name. It is the same you. Nobody will be allowed to come to the passport office without appointment. So there will be a portal for appointment. Appointment will be online. You don't need to call any immigration officer to make appointment for you to come to the issue. Appointment will be online, transparent. This will be provided before the reopening of passport office in June, 1st June 2021. So we are glad to say that this is a transparent way to deal with the situation. You will go online, make payment, you will book your appointment, you will come at the time when the appointment is given, you wait for 6 weeks, your passport will be issued. You will not need to give a kobo extra to collect your passport booklets. This is our commitment to Nigerians in terms of transparency.
Shekina Chinkere, Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is your program, Security Watch Africa, only on this channel, the African Independent Television. Welcome. We are looking at the sad incident that happened yesterday with the death of a 11 gallant and able Nigerian military officers. It's so sad. And still with me in the studio is my brother Suleiman Ubagaya. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Now, because of course they can never be vacuum. Sadly, these officers have died. Particularly the Chief of Army Staff is no longer alive to continue his work. Where do the country go from here?
Well, first of all, nature abhors vacuum. So I will advise or call on Mr. President to please, as quickly as possible, announce a replacement. Otherwise, there could be crisis. You understand? Because whereas, of course, there is seniority in the military, everybody knows that, okay, you know, I'm your junior or you are my senior. They know each other, or one another rather. But then it is necessary. The announcement, I mean, the successor may not necessarily be the most senior, as has happened even in the case of Attahiru himself. You know, he wasn't the most senior when he was appointed the army chief. There was Lamidi Adeosun, Lieutenant General. He was overlooked. So whoever is going to be appointed, I will call on the Mr. President to please do so as quickly as possible, probably, not even probably, today, honestly.
You know, there's one thing about this which the general public may not know, that even in the military, there are different departments and units and formations and all that. There are some who are regarded as the elite, so to say, like for the army, the infantry, and other support services. And already talking within the military circle, they are still insisting that it must be from an infantry, because an infantry is a man who is grounded in war situation. What would you think?
Well, I'm not that much versed in the, let me use the word science of the military, honestly speaking. But I know that, of course, an infantry officer is well grounded. The immediate former Chief of Army Staff was an infantry man. I can't remember whether Attahiru was
also an infantry. Yes.
Well, now that we are faced with multifarious security challenges, obviously we need an infantry officer. Of course, it is up to the Commander-in-Chief, who is also Mr. President, to think of the best person among the infantry generals that we have.
Yeah, because they are generous and they are generous, really. That's what a lot of people talk about. But let's go back to, you know, a news broke about 2 days ago that Abubakar Shakau has been killed. And part of the conspiracy theory is that the late Chief of Army Staff was killed because Abubakar Shakau was killed. So many issues. Would you have any information on that?
Well, I think, honestly speaking, it's a very irresponsible way to put it, you know. How could anybody think or say that the Chief of Army Staff was killed? He wasn't even killed, you know.
BBC carried a news report, the Nigerian Chief of Army Staff killed, has been killed, and people are using that.
No, I don't think that is right, because the circumstances were very clear. It was raining heavily, there were very strong winds, and it swept up the aircraft.
Because it's a Beechcraft. People do not even understand. It's a Beechcraft, a large training aircraft.
Exactly. It's a very light aircraft, and it was swept away by the
storm.
Of course, without prejudice to the investigation being carried out, I don't know whether it has started, but these are pieces of information that could be of use to even the investigators. Let's go back quickly to the issue of Abubakar Shekau. You are a witness to the fact that Shekau will have been caught alive, with all due respect, if the former service chiefs were retained or had stayed longer. If you remember, early January, I told you that based on my findings, I'm sure by March, you remember? By March this year, Shekau will be caught alive by the army.
Operation was going on,
an operation was going on, and it was so clandestinely done. You know, unfortunately, the former service chiefs were retired, and unfortunately, also, all the commanding officers were also changed. You know, so the whole thing became new. Of course, it's good news.
It's good news, okay. Because we're getting signal to go. And I think we're going to continue from there, you know, because we know that information is that he was killed by ISWAP fighters and all that. But we'll have to leave because the station will also be bringing to our darling viewers the the burial situation over there. We're reporting live from the cemetery about what is happening. It's a pleasure to have you here. You drove all the way from Jos, in spite of the danger we say, to be here in the studio. Thank you for coming, my brother.
Thank you so much.
We'll continue where we stop next week, so we can exhaust this issue about the way forward for Nigeria. Hopefully, by then, we'll have a new Chief of Army Staff.
Yes, hopefully.
Okay, all right. We must leave for other programs to continue, but it's a sad news. We'll pray that the families will find the fortitude to bear the loss of their loved ones, and Nigeria and Mr. President will be able to do it. Until we come away again next week, say bye for now and remain blessed.